Let me let her in. Let me share my screen. Tell me you can see that?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Okay, it's 7 o'clock, 7:01. We'll call the meeting to order. Meg, if you could please call the roll.
I understand that Mr. Castagnoli is excused.
Yes.
Mr. Cater,
Here.
Mr. Mortimer,
Present.
and Chairman Quish.
I am also here.
Thank you.
Are we are not expecting our consultant, is that correct?
That is correct. That was decided at the last meeting, correct?
Right. Okay. I went in and I made a bunch of notes and I don't know if I saved them.
Oh, no.
I was distracted
Oh,
and called away from my computer and I just don't know. So we are working off the document that you put in the Dropbox. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the document. And I know that we got a comment. I'm going to say it was from John, who said, you know, they could really do better with photos on the cover, and I agree.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yep, I know we can do better.
So
I really don't like, it's an eyesore to have all the power lines. It's like that's
Yeah,
that's
not a
something
good
we really
choice
want
at
to
all.
feature.
yeah,
They're there. We can't deny they're there, but
Yes.
but at
We don't
least
have to emphasize them.
no. And some of the other photos throughout the whole thing, some like drone footage is pretty darn nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if we go to the first introductory page, David.
Yep.
Go back. Here we go. I would like to have the current and former members of the POCD subcommittee acknowledged.
Okay.
Former as well.
Okay. Hold on.
Make sure we go back and find out who was on it over the years. This was one of the notes that I know I didn't save because it's not here.
Yep, that's the proof.
Whoop. Members. There we go. Ah, gee.
Current and former.
Add former. Okay.
Meebers.
Well, look, Meebers. Yeah. There.
Meebers.
I'm a Meeber, you're a Meeber.
I don't remember.
Well, because the current aren't the current ones there?
No, they're not.
Okay. Oh, add former. Okay, hold on. Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody have any questions or comments on the welcome message?
No, actually.
Yeah, I think it was fine. I mean, we'll go to the full committee review and a public comment, so there's time to.
Right.
I didn't drill into every sentence personally. I kind of did a couple of things.
Right. Like that's a stunning photo.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And all those pickleball courts are new, right?
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hot new sport.
So I don't know how you want to do this. If you just want to scroll through it and
Yeah, I mean, I think that if John or Jim or me, if we have anything to say on a given page, if somebody wants to stop and reread it, please just shout out Jimmy or John, and we can spend a little bit of time. There's a couple notes that Joe made and
Okay.
and David made, and I have a couple things I wanted to put to correct a little bit further on, but I don't have any real issue with this page.
okay, come on. Why is it frozen? Oh, come on. Come on. Let's go. Come on. Don't
You
freeze
got
on
double
me.
click. You got to click it.
There we go. Oh, geez. There we go.
There it is.
There we go. Did it just okay? So open. So to wrap up of sort of the parks. and-
Yes, slow back.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll go back.
I'm just looking at that. I'm looking at the ease and understanding of that table. Is it,
This table?
yeah,
Well, we have different classifications and I think we had gotten this from our open space coordinator. So I think it was Steve Johnson at the time.
yeah,
And that's how we sort of broke down, they broke down, you know, open spaces that, you know, people go, oh, is that open space? Yeah, but they're different kinds. So it's,
okay, yeah, no, I think it's clear enough, I guess, and it's,
Yeah, I like that it's specified there.
yeah.
So,
And then it's color coordinated with this map.
yeah, now,
Mhm.
can we, can this map be zoomable? So if you want to look at something,
I'm going to say, I don't know, because we have to remember the document itself won't be a zoomable document. And this is just a GIS layer. So if you're looking for what, if it was, if, let me ask you this, if it were zoomable, what data would you be looking for to zoom into?
yeah, I mean, it would be like if it was a Google Earth option too, so you could zoom in and see, okay, where does this start? What street is that? Or that you go over to, you
Right.
can't see my cursor, but, and I'm saying, I'm asking this question, not necessarily specifically about this map, but there's a few other ones that are, like the public beaches, they're just little round dots and it's, I really have a hard time. I mean, you can go into the document and increase the size to like 200% and you can get a little closer look, but it's, so yeah, so it's just, I'm just wondering that. And as we go on, there's some other maps that I think lack a narrative to make better sense of it. And, you know, this is, what is this? This is, so we have a key, color key, and what
Yeah.
is the map again?
This, the map is showing the ownership of the open spaces.
Okay,
Now-
so this, so,
excuse me.
so that, again, we had a table that showed a bunch of different,
Yeah.
different types,
Yeah,
right? So this map doesn't really communicate with that.
no, it's just, it's giving general,
Right.
general
So,
ownership. Yeah,
so then people might try to assume that they're connected. So maybe there should be a little bit of a, you know, a heading with a one sentence narrative telling you what the information, you know, open space ownership. Yeah, maybe that's enough. I don't know. Just because they're so close, I know my instinct was looking, well, which one is private and which one is public? And so maybe this is enough, maybe not. Just a thought.
okay.
Now I see Charles Island and Silver Sands is marked as deed restricted. I thought that was state lands.
It is. And it's restricted. They don't want anyone on it.
Okay.
So it can't be developed.
All
you know,
right. So it's both. You
Yeah.
decided to go with the deed restricted. And,
Yep.
and what's the federal, that line of the federal land there
Federal, we have,
leading up to it?
I believe that's over here, and I believe that's the federal fishery. We have a federal
Okay.
facility on the
Yeah,
harbor.
research station
Yeah,
Okay.
down by the yacht club.
yeah. And it almost looks like the same color down here at the point. Where the bird stuff is, that I think that may be that.
Yeah, so I think that also the color, we might need to change the color coordination to make sure, especially on a couple other maps, that they're really distinguishable.
Yeah. And then this one over here is, which probably has to be updated at this point. I think that's Siemens Lane and the
Yep.
the city owns it now. So let me do this. Oh, that didn't, oops. That's not what I want.
Ah,
Let's do this. Okay. Let me say this. Oh, come on. Come on. Wow, really? It's gonna take that long for
Gotta
each
click
change?
it.
Oh, it's moving. There we go. Jim, I'm doing my clicks. I'm doing my clicks, Jim.
I don't know.
Man, why is it doing this? What if I do that? Oh, there we go. Okay. This is Milford Natural Diversity Map. So this stuff comes directly from the state.
Yeah. So I would say a couple things there. A narrative explaining what it is. The title doesn't give us enough information to really. So, you know, a one page, a couple sentence or one sentence narrative to explain what it is to the layman. And the graphics are hard to distinguish one. They're not that hard, but could be that it's better to make it more distinguishable, more contrast against the background. It's a little bit of green with the hatch mark. Maybe put a fill color in those shapes.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, but it's almost blending into one. It's like watercolors, they mix together.
Yeah, and yeah, depending on the screen you're looking at, yeah, you know, I'm looking at it on a pretty large screen and they look okay to me, but point well taken. Yeah, so greenways and green belts.
Yeah, I think it's well written. Anybody have an issue with it?
No, I can't say that I do. I will say I haven't had enough time to really go over this as much as I would like to.
Yeah, this isn't our last look.
Yeah, you're gonna have plenty of time to look over it again.
Okay.
So city recreation facilities of various kinds, and I'm guessing this would be one that like Jim would probably like if we could zoom in to see, oh, where are these out there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And the you know, is it better, you know, is there enough contrast between the colors and the little dots, or is it possible, does it make sense to have different shapes as well? Now, that would be a lot of different shapes, but just something to make it jump out a little bit. And if it's a bigger facility, would you have a bigger round ball?
Hmm.
Or would you say like you have the I don't know. It just,
I think the zoomability is really key because
Yeah,
you
what
know,
I'm
it
wondering,
just adds more understanding to what you're looking at.
yeah,
So.
what'll be interesting, I'm gonna find out because if we have an electronic version online, I think that would be really cool to be able to do that. Obviously, we wouldn't be able to do that with the actual physical document, which we have to have. But if this lives in a form online, that'd be very cool.
I imagine it would be with the city website.
Yeah.
Is the last one available like that?
Not with anything zoomable. But I mean, the
but
reports,
it's on,
I mean,
but it is
it's
available
available.
online.
it's available online. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Out in the different greenways and green corridors. So
So yeah, so then again, a narrative, you know, what's a greenway, what's a green corridor? Why is it relevant? You know, not a ton, but a little bit of narrative to just explain it to the novice, someone who's just first time looking at it. You know, why am I looking at this? Why is it important?
yeah, I wonder if they should have something to refer back to the yeah. to text.
But we don't want to make them do anything. We want it to be easy for them to just see they're on this page. Whatever explanation, even if it's redundant, should be on this page.
Yeah, what I was going to say is, if they're talking about the text, no, I'm not putting that there for the reader to look at. It's just a note for us.
Yeah.
What I'm wondering is, because it's mentioned earlier, if
Oh, like a cut and paste, yeah.
yeah, or in the text that's above it, refer to figure 5. If there's no mention to go refer to, if you're talking about the greenways and green corridors, see figure 5.
Yeah.
That would be helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then you could jump to that, and then when you're here, if you just stumbled on it, even if you cut and paste what was in the earlier text, you make it redundant here. So if this is the one page you're looking for, you understand it.
Yeah.
Right. So in other words, you should be able to click on Stubby Plain Brook, Indian River there and go back to the description of that.
Yeah.
Greenway or green corridor, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good.
Get more.
Yeah, this will probably get a little bit of public input, with what to do with Eisenhower Park.
Yeah.
It's really interesting, because there was a plan and study that was done for it back. Oh, I'd have to go back to look. Was it before 2010?
Yeah,
It was before 2010, and it was never implemented directly from the plan. But since then, the city has taken parts of that plan and implemented it with the splash pad and the improvements and
that was a political
Yeah.
nightmare too when it came about the study. And
yeah.
so this is what I'm talking about too. The public beaches or the beach access where you could see it. And if we can't zoom, maybe you do multiple pages. Now, obviously, or you have 2 different maps, one for parks and one for public beaches. And the public beaches, you could maybe, instead of going directly north and south, you could go at an angle to make it, look like the whole. You don't have to have all of northern Milford in the public beach access. So it could be 2 separate maps, something that lets people know that, if I'm over by Orland Ave, I can get on here, or if I'm at Grant Street, I can go there. Something that gives a little bit more ability to inform the general public.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And again, the round circles, if you have like the public beach, you could have just that color coded into the whole Walnut Beach, not 15 circles. So it may be you create a shape free form and then color it to your color.
So those circles are the access points, correct?
Oh, yeah. The other one is public beaches, but yeah, that's a good point. If it's zoomed in enough, or again, you could have 3 or 4 different maps with enough size and detail to get us the whole coastline.
So
that gives you
So just
it does tell you the streets, and that's a pretty good thing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it does. That's good. Yeah.
And keep in mind, this is a planning document. It's not, it's for general sort of understanding of we have these things. It's not an implementation document. It shouldn't be.
I know, but if we don't have any other wayfinding in the city for whatever reasons, at least we can have it here.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. Just for, informational purposes. It's,
And,
you
and
got,
part of the document is really a sort of, in construction, it's existing conditions, And so there is a lot of narrative that is explaining what we are now, and then some look aheads too,
Yeah.
Some of this got under Mr. Cassignoli's skin, I think.
Yes.
literally.
Public, private partnership, what are you talking about?
Well,
Yeah, this is a good shot here.
yeah, I mean,
That's
yeah,
a
look
good-
at that.
I might look good on the cover right there, that shot.
Yeah,
Just
you know
saying.
what? Not a bad idea.
I think I would almost, yeah, I'd like to see one a little farther up with like downtown. That I wonder what that would look like. I mean, we have a lot of choices for some good shots, actually.
Who
Yeah,
took the
yeah.
pictures? Where'd they get the pictures?
I don't know. I'll find out.
I know at one time somebody did a pretty cool little video with a drone. I think it was this chamber or something. It
Yeah,
was
right.
pretty good. And then so you could still frame any of that,
Right.
Yeah. A link to that might be a nice little bonus too.
That's a good idea. Couple of good shots there.
Tropical storm Irene.
Yeah, so this key code is maybe accurate, but it's kind of not informative.
Wait, did the sea level rot? Which part?
Yeah, right up a little bit. Yeah, next slide up. Yeah, right there. The 2% annual chance of flooding, 1%. I mean, somehow, obviously it's factual, but it just seems
What
a little bit obtuse or something. And the
I'll-
color
yeah.
coding is, again, not that sharp. The colors, I think, don't really give you contrast.
So what they're trying to do is when the common way of talking about these is, oh, you're in an area that is in a 100-year flood zone or a 50-year flood zone or a 25-year flood zone.
Yeah.
What does that mean? This is
right.
this is what that means. So no matter what we call it, people always have trouble. People assume, oh, you're in a 25-year flood zone. Oh, that means what? It's going to flood once every 25 years. Oh, well, no, that's not what it means. It means it's the probability of X happening to some degree, within a 25-year period. So it could flood many times in 25 years, or may not flood at all in the 25-year flood zone. And
Right.
that's
So probably let's get the linguist involved, and if the A/AE is 25 and the VE is 100, that we do redundant naming, and if we put a narrative in that kind of dumbs down what actually these calculations mean, the 25-year, define it and connect it to the
Right.
A/AE.
And what does flooding mean, really? I mean, does it mean that there's an inch of water on your property or 10 feet? I mean, you know, what does flooding actually mean? Do we have a definition on that?
It's gonna be,
I think that's a good point. What do we, dumb this down to like, explain this to me like I'm 5.
yeah, I
Right.
think there are gonna be some things you just can't dumb down to under 5.
True. But we can definitely give it a shot.
Yeah, we'll give it a shot.
And we can capture some of them.
Let me see here.
Yeah, I think the definition of flooding should be pretty easy. Well, maybe not, but hopefully easy to define.
Simply not, gee whiz. Ah, there we go. Whoop. Come on.
Simply.
Simply, yeah, this is using the teeny keyboard on the laptop.
You're making up words there.
Making up words. That's, hey, getting ready for Scrabble.
So you have to physically save every edit.
Well, no, but I'm afraid as we're going through this, if something happens, I
Okay.
don't want to lose it. Although the
That's
laptop,
smart, yeah.
the laptop does, it does have a battery, so hopefully nothing would happen. But we're
You never know.
we're taking the time to do this. I want to make sure. What I'll do is I'll do it like every 5 edits. How's that? So it'll move. a
No,
little
I don't
faster.
mind. I'm just curious. I'm learning.
Hey, can I jump in here quick? I'm listening to you guys.
Yeah, anytime you want, Jim.
You guys make valid points. The only thing I would say, and I think maybe David was sensing a little bit, Adam went way out of his way to minimize the amount of text in here to be real concise with what is being said. And I understand you want things to explain more, but I'm kind of thinking, who is looking at this? The person looking at it does know what flooding means. This isn't for average consumption for a person on the street. I don't think. Maybe I'm mistaken, but
Well, I hope it is, actually. I hope more people go to it and refer to it. And I think if we do a good job of communication as we're approving this one, that people will see it as valuable and keep it as part of the conversation. I know that a couple times we've had developers or their attorneys mention it, in support of an application. And by the way, this is in exactly what your POCD says it wants. So, and like you've always said is, some of these things, we wish they had some more teeth, and
Yeah.
well, the teeth, though, in my opinion, is not in how we word it. It's in the value of it. I mean, we could put whatever we want, but it doesn't hold anybody to doing anything. A developer could throw it back in our face saying, you guys say we should be doing this, but it has no value. I think we need to get whoever does the laws, the rules, the regulations, the laws for the city. We need to get them on board. Well, that's where I feel where we lack the disconnect between this and the actual laws. I thought the intent was for deciding what laws and what direction we're going in the city, not for, I mean, if an average person wants to read it, fine, but that's not what I thought the intent was. I thought this was to have a direction for the city, keep it concise. I liked how he minimized text. So
yeah, I do too.
but it sounds like you guys are almost kind of going the opposite way. You want to define things really, like you said, dumb it down.
Yeah, I'm
But
thinking
dumb
like
it
a
down for
paragraph
who?
here, a paragraph here. I don't want to add 10 pages. I just want a paragraph here so people understand it. And I am hoping that
Yeah.
people do go look at it. It's for the citizens.
Yeah, and
For
I think it
everybody.
does need to be concise. It does need to be to the point and not wordy, but we got to get our point across. And I've been saying it from the beginning, we need to make this document more available to people so they do look at it and when they're considering a development,
Well, when it gets
Not sure how we could do that, but
It's the times that it's mentioned by developers is when they're looking to make a map change or a regulation change. You'll notice
Right.
that that's the pattern, and that's correct. I mean, that's what they should be doing, because they're drawing a line between what our plan says, what our regulations say, and what they're saying is that, you know, the plan says this, our regulations don't quite say this, but they should, because our plan says it. Therefore, please allow me to either change the map, change the regulation, or wow, this is just such a fabulous development. You know, it meets both the regulations as they are today, and oh, it's also in the plan of conservation and development. It's
Yeah,
just
they'll
it's not-
definitely, they'll
It is.
definitely promote it when it's in their interest. I'm thinking when it's in the
absolutely.
town's interest, we need to get it out front. So maybe they plan in the first place to take that into
Well,
consideration.
and when you say the town, what you're really saying is it's the planning and zoning board, because this is the planning and zoning board
Yeah.
document. So, you know, if there is something in here that is supportive of development, or is supportive of making the case against development in some area, I mean, that's what this document is about. So, you know, and it'll be, you know, when we get to the housing section, which is, I think, probably next, you know, we talk about, you know, housing and the need for housing. And that section in this document is going to be beefed up, because Adam, and I thought he had it, did not have you know, the consolidated housing plan, which, you know, the board voted on. It was put together by community development in the community, you know, within the last you know, what, 4 or 5 months ago, the board approved it. So that's going to add and I think beef up the housing section. So great, the city, we have this plan, the planning board, you know, adopted this housing plan. So the question is, how do you implement it? Well, you can mention it in this document, and that's great, and it will be. But the way to implement it is with the zoning regulations. So our board is the implementer through its regulations. However the board wants to do that. So
Yeah, so it should be, it's, so that at the best, this will inform either this present regulation subcommittee or a subsequent one. Right there, I just noticed that we have Flagship Marina. Nope. There we go. Flagship Marina does not exist anymore. That's the brewery.
okay, hold on. Where
Yep, you're almost on it. Yep,
okay,
you're
hold
right
on.
there.
Yeah, hold on.
Dockside.
I know David hates it when I do this, but just as a technical documenting possibility to both Jim's points, actually, there's also a possibility of sort of an end note that says to learn more about flood zones or something. You can always link to an external source that's, you know, that keeps tax minimal, but also provides additional information. Now I'll shut up.
And keep in
Cool
mind,
idea.
again, keep in mind that this has to be a fixed document. So again, it may have a presence online, but it's still a paper document that has to be submitted to everybody and go everywhere. So
Yeah.
Right.
you can't have any links in here that go
Well,
anywhere.
you'd have to, you could put them in there, but they'd have to type them in.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
like end notes or footnotes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sound quality.
There's our goals.
Yep. And I know,
Here's Joe.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And we have, I think we have a resiliency plan. The city adopted one. Uh,
Yeah, I think we have, doesn't Joe give us a report every year?
There's like a CRS thing. He does that for, gee, I can't spell. Um, he gives a report for the CRS program, but I think we adopted a resiliency plan that was done by the region. Well, we're gonna find out.
Okay, cool. And what do you guys think about removing these things? Joe thinks so. I mean, I think I understand that he is against giving public money away. I think that's his knee-jerk reaction. And when we say identify areas where the city should support private investments to improve properties to protect against sea level rise, I guess he's assuming that that means we're going to help pay for it.
Well, the other thing, the other way, because I was looking at this and I was thinking, because I don't know that about him, so I was just looking at this going, oh, well, these are really, this is an implementation strategy and this isn't an implementation document. So that's how I viewed it, saying, oh, okay. Because we wouldn't, the city wouldn't be going out and looking at, oh, how do we find private investments for people, and how would we?
Yeah, and
how
I
would we
understand.
identify? Yeah,
I understand what you're saying, but the plan of conservation and development is under it's an edict from the government for us to do this, for the planning board to do this. But I don't think we're in handcuffs. I mean, obviously there's a lot of this that over the past, and on this document as it stands now, there's a lot of stuff that's not directed to the zoning, right? We're planning and zoning board, where some people have a planning board, some people have a zoning board, then they're separate. But so the zoning aspect is definitely just land use, but the planning portion has some room for visioning, and this document has some room for visioning. And it always has. The ones, I read it, and so I don't think I understand your point. I understand Jim's point, that without going to the regulation subcommittee, or some of the things would go right to the Board of Aldermen if what we're dreaming up were actually to happen. But and I don't want to fight with Joe about it if he doesn't want it in there. I think it's, if the political will is to identify this through the alders at any given time, they can do it with or without this document.
right, exactly.
So I don't want to piss him off, and I want his voice to be heard, but I don't see it as a harm or a foul.
Okay. So
Which Joe was it, by the way?
Joe
Castagnoli,
Castagnoli, I'm sure put that, because he's made comments to me in other meetings that he just doesn't want the city to cough up any money for anybody's private property. And I get it. It's a philosophy. It's your property.
Yeah.
You bought a house on the beach. Your seawall goes down, float away.
yeah. So we have, so here's an example of what I was talking about earlier, where we have verbiage in here, and oh, look, go see figure 12 and and figure 13, which ties
Right.
back to this.
And that would be nice if this is a searchable document when we get the online version, that's clickable.
Yeah.
And then
Definitely should.
PDF has that capacity for sure.
Yeah.
And here's another one. The maps would show, like here, you have maps that aren't little dots. The one up above has a farm, but it's just, yeah, go to the previous one, please, for 1 second. Yeah, so farms, right? So instead of having just a little dot for the Filanowski farm, let's go to the
Right.
border.
Outline it, in other words, sure.
Yeah, go to the border of the lot, the size.
Well, I will tell you, for Trudy and Sage goat milk soap, you won't see anything because it's literally someone's house.
Yeah, so if it's bigger, if it's too small, go to the dot. If it's big like Philanowski, to which you know, I
Right.
don't think it's that hard. to
Okay,
make it-
so let me add the text here. So you're thinking, tell me again. Oh, do a property border?
Yeah, and if it's indistinguishable, then go to the dot.
Can I jump in again? I like the idea, except for maybe instead of going to prop, just maybe have the dots be sized accordingly. So the goat place would be small. The other ones would just be a bigger dot, encompass more of an area, not necessarily their property, but just show you it's a bigger piece of property. 'Cause I'm not sure if you're gonna do their whole property, if they're gonna be overlapping, and if it's gonna look weird, it might be hard to read. But that's a good point, though. I really don't mind.
Yeah, we'll let I'm fine with giving the suggestions to Adam and seeing what he what's makes common sense to him and him being the expert.
I like how David makes up new words, though. Smail, that's a cool
Yeah.
word.
Thank you.
On a roll tonight, David.
I'm on a roll. So what happens when I type under pressure with 10 people watching me?
You're on a roll, a row. And again, here, just the color coding is almost indistinguishable to more contrast. And here they went with shapes, to the,
Because this is coming from a state soil map.
yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
so,
what they had to work with. I get it. It's
yeah.
already shaped.
um,
Now so you crossed that out, correct?
I
David?
did, yeah,
Okay. I thought so.
yeah, because the city, the city didn't want to do that. When I talked with, I mean, that's what the city didn't want to do it. That's not to say if you guys don't want to have it, but the argument that the recreation department and public works, who are the ones that sort of overlap on this, is we put all of our effort into the Eisenhower Gardens, and we don't, at least at that time, have any resources to do anything anywhere else. And that,
Okay, so in addition, it included a map identifying potential locations for additional community gardens. I think that's a good thing.
okay,
I mean, I think community gardens are a
Yeah.
good thing. And I know that, like, in my neighborhood, they tore down a blighted house and put in a little park, which is great. But if there's two doors down,
right,
that we probably don't need another little park, but we could use a public garden.
okay. So how about if I
Mhm.
get rid of that? And I can get rid of this if you want. And I'll put
Sure.
okay.
Chris Haley's got a problem with it, tell him to call me.
Okay, let's see here. Let me figure out here. How do I get rid of this? Let's see. Ooh, how about if I do this? Hey. All right.
Look at that.
Yeah, it's getting good at this.
I'm learning.
And again, what's this one? What's that map there?
Existing community garden and potential community gardens. So
Okay,
actually, this is actually showing community gardens that are in other places that must not be city sponsored.
okay.
Yeah, community gardens, like I grew up next to Linwood Street Park right there, and that's
Okay.
a prime location for, I mean, I could literally hop the fence and get into that park, and it's the fact that we're pointing out these areas where we could put a community garden. I think that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, there's one like right by Grove Circle too, that it's a little bit wet behind Margaret Egan Center, and it's just been empty forever.
Right.
And if you
Yeah, that is kind of
a little bit of work
swampy, but
there, dig a deeper hole in the middle and have a pond, and then have community garden all around it. And, it takes a political will to do this.
So we've got
Yeah.
green and
And this
yellow.
is again zoomable, or you break it down into separate maps so that you can actually see where they are.
Well, this map has a problem because we've got a green and a yellow with a red around it. There's the yellow with the red, and there we have plain reds, and I see nothing that's green. Except maybe it's just our one official one, the community garden up here in
Yes.
Eisenhower. So it may actually be correct, but it looks like
Yeah, but we have 3 different colors and there's only 2 on the color.
Yeah.
There's only 2 on the key.
Yeah.
And there's more than 2. There's a green, a red, and an orange. Or yeah,
3 colors.
red, yeah.
Okay. Well, if we're interested in keeping prioritize the creation of community gardens, then I would I'd suggest these, but I can take these out.
We're picking neighborhoods, prioritize creation of community gardens on underutilized areas of Edgemont Park, Melba Street. What's underutilized on Melba Street?
I don't know. And it's Melville Street doesn't strike me as a place you'd have a community garden. It's so close
Yeah,
to
Melba
water.
Street Fields. Zoom in on that.
Well, I can't. But you know
That was a
that's
joke, David.
but you know what that is? I think that's across from the shopping center up on Melba, near Firehouse Pizza and
Yeah.
shopping center. There's the city created a park there within the last 10 years.
Oh, that
So
was
actually-
part of the old Point Beach School property.
It could be, yeah. I don't know. Maybe. But now it's an actual park. And I think back then there was talk of, it was a field and what else could they do? But now it's an actual program park. So
Yeah.
actually, let me do this.
Hey, David, by any chance, did you try the magnifying glass down there next to the hand to see if it does work?
Hold on 1 second. Let me just do this. Let me. And then the magnifying hand.
I don't know if you put it in a place, does it allow you to click on it and then,
Yeah, it's making us, it brings us
200%.
closer, but it's not giving us any more
Oh.
information.
Yeah. Streets aren't labeled or anything.
Right,
We'd have to probably tie it to Google Maps.
yeah. Ooh, now, let's see here.
Good eye, Jim. Explore the feasibility of demand for community garden location, identify for your.
I can get rid of all the removed things from here if you'd like.
were those Joe's as well?
Yeah,
No, I think they were me because I thought, well, we already have the other community garden, but
oh, okay. I
I
don't
don't know. I
mind.
mean, we're pointing these places out. I don't know. What is this, one extra page?
yeah, so
The only thing is when you say the word prioritize, it kind of looks like the city needs to do something. I think explore the feasibility. I like that word better, like, kind of like what John says,
Yeah.
people should be aware of it. But the word prioritize to me means the city needs to do something and do it soon because it's high priority. I don't know. I'm not saying we shouldn't look at those areas. But
So yeah, maybe an edit of that word.
yeah, because I like the idea of them doing it. It makes
Yeah.
me nervous saying prioritize means the city needs to do something.
Yeah, and this is done
I think
individually.
Was this part of the last POCD?
yeah, I believe it was, and then it had been refined in the subcommittee because we spent a tremendous amount of time working on the parks in the subcommittee.
We did, yeah. I just
Um,
don't know if this particular statement,
How about it? So you want me to explore the feasibility up here?
No.
or
Or the intent could have been, of all the places that are available, these would be the most likely or something. I'm not sure what the intent of that was. It sounds like either the city needs to get on and do something, or these are the ones they think they should do. I don't really know
Yeah,
what
I
the
think that's
intent
a,
was.
Because it's low hanging fruit, because we actually have
Exactly.
land that's underutilized.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
so
great point, you know. I mean, it looks like when you say explore the feasibility and demand for community gardens, it sounds like the city is going to, you know, jump into action when really it's up to the people who live there to do something, to, you know, initiate a community garden. So, right, there's no city involvement in these gardens, correct?
Right, well, that's,
Some are.
yeah, I mean,
Roger.
thank you, excuse me, the only one that the city is involved with is the one
Right,
at
that one at
Eisenhower.
Eisenhower Park.
Yeah.
Right.
How about explore the creation?
Yeah, I agree with Jimmy. I think this is a really good idea for the city. That thing by Eisenhower, I drive by and go, man, that is so cool that we do that.
Yeah.
So, you
And
know,
I have a small one across the street here. A neighbor has implemented on her own, you know, and people on my street have little boxes that she set up, and you know, it's a small scale thing. I think that's what we should be promoting, but the city's not going to be involved in it.
David, put this, flag this as, let's do a deeper dive on it.
Okay, my only caution to you is this, we in the subcommittee, I mean, we spent an inordinate amount of time on it.
But not on the gardens, on
Mm,
the Parks and Rec, totally, yeah.
okay, so what, if we take a deeper dive on this, what do you?
Just
What do you-
language, just what we
language.
can do it right now. I
Oh,
would
oh,
say that let's go to the top. The higher level vision statement is to, yes, we do want to promote community gardens, right? So there's the goal, expand the ability of residents to have access to fresh, you know.
Right. It just needs to be clear, I think, that this is a private action, not something the city's doing. So,
Well, I don't know about that. That's what Joe would probably think, but I don't know why it can't be the case that if there's a blighted property or there's a tax lien and there's a foreclosure that the city now owns this property, and what are they gonna do?
yeah.
Develop
Okay.
it or just give it to a local group that sets up a, you know, a 301
Okay.
BCFG or whatever they call them and have a garden or
Right.
something, you know,
All right.
Just, hey, as an FYI, at the planning board meeting next week, you're gonna be seeing one of these. The city foreclosed on a house, and they now want to resell it. So that'll be coming before you for an 8-24.
Oh, interesting.
well, the answer is no. You have to put a community garden on it.
Okay.
That's right.
Well,
let me ask just another silly question. I kind of doubt there's any thing to worry about, but if we promote these things, like say a piece of property foreclosed, you tear the house down and put up a garden, and the land tends to be contaminated, is the city responsible? I mean, if it causes, I don't know what contaminated soil could do to people. Are we open ourselves up to anything? Just
okay,
a thought.
so
Interesting point.
So we're treading into, once again, the weeds of implementation. You want the high look at all of this.
Okay, good. That's fair enough. Fair enough.
Right. So we could legislate this, is what you're saying. Actually, try to create
could
a
always
rule
put
if we
checks and
want, but
balances
this
and
is
you
not
could
the
sell
place
it.
for it.
You can sell it for $1 to a nonprofit and then we're out of it.
Yeah, so I mean,
Right.
yeah, you can have, yeah, I mean, if you're saying a goal is, you know, the city should take properties that have been foreclosed on, you know, whatever the group of issue, but if the city has excess land or properties they've been foreclosed on, using those properties for community gardens would be, something that you guys would want to do. I mean, we can create some sort of statement to put in there.
Yeah,
And
I
then
think community gardens or even community use, maybe there's a different use that the neighborhood needs, parking or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of recreation. I think that the language of the goal there, instead of expand the ability of residents to have locally grown food, I just change the goal to promote and expand the creation of community gardens. And then I don't think we can say, if we want to identify Melba and Edgemont and existing parks could be repurposed where appropriate.
Right. Encouraging
have
public
that here.
participation, maybe, or private participation.
Explore the planting of fruit trees on select publicly owned lands. We have that in there. That's got Jim written all over it.
Oh, yeah. They do it in Norway. They like it in there. They have lots of fruits.
Yeah, and here's kind of what you guys were just talking about farther down. So
Yeah.
once we made it past here, everything you were just talking about is really kind of here.
It's right
Yeah, but I
there.
mean,
Yes, it is.
Do we have to call out? I don't know. I don't know that, to Jim's point, maybe we could do a big edit here and just have a statement without calling out localities. We could say that, in dense areas and, I don't know. I haven't thought it through yet. But instead of, 2 and 3, maybe we just have a more robust one statement, and then you have the fruit trees too. You gotta have the fruit trees.
Of course.
But
Yeah,
one
I
that
don't
doesn't
think,
pick out, that uses a general thing like where existing land may be underutilized, city land may be underutilized, or potentially, stuff that's blighted that we take back should be considered for a potential community garden.
Okay.
And so we add a few words here, take a few words there.
With the goal of being concise.
It is. Not terse, but concise.
Right.
Okay.
Words are powerful.
Nice shot from the harbor.
Yeah, not bad.
Might want to save it, David, before you lose anything.
Ah, why? Because my
I'm-
dog,
I'm with
my dog
I
keeps
was-
jumping up and wants to hit the keys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you'll end up being like Jimmy, you put all these notes in there and you don't save it. So
That was totally a bummer.
Oh, yes.
save often. I was an IT person and I saved everything overkill, backed
Yeah,
everything up, saved everything.
Do you miss that, Jimmy?
Not at all.
Cool.
He's having too much fun now.
Exactly.
I actually brought my guitar with me this week. Took it
Nice.
out and played a bit.
Nice.
So here, little technical things like the figures are out of order, so they need to fix that.
Uh-huh.
Got to fix the numbering. That's what that's all about.
I think that information being available in this, I think that's a really good idea. I think people don't understand
Oh
the
yeah.
change of the
Oh yeah.
of the socioeconomic
Yep.
level of the city.
Yep.
Yeah, I struggle to explain to people. Matter of fact, my wife, she's like, I don't buy that the population is not growing. How could it not be growing? We keep building more and more. And I'm like, I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah,
Now
it's
I
gotta
do.
be- Yeah. And
Yeah.
by the way, to your point that you made about traffic downtown being dangerous, I read this morning an
Yeah.
article, there was a situation downtown
Yeah,
You
get
got
hit.
bumped.
or near miss or something.
No, somebody got bumped. I hope they didn't get hurt too bad.
I thought it
Why
was
that, why that speed limit is not 15? I can't even imagine.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was my only thing. I think something needs to be done. And I'm not sure what the answer is, because I got to say, when I drive downtown, I sometimes struggle to see people and I'm looking. So I don't know what
Mhm.
it is. I don't think people are just being obnoxious. It's just somehow you're not seeing them.
Well, there's a lot of pedestrians and there's a lot of cars, so there you go.
And they're driving too fast. Their
Yeah.
speed limit is 25 and they drive at 35. And I do it if I'm going along with the flow of traffic.
Sure.
If it's 15 miles an hour, you'll have a lot, you'll be able to stop much quicker and you'll be able to see what's in front of you a little bit sooner.
15 miles an hour, they'll run you out of town.
Okay, so not to put the kibosh on the traffic situation, which actually will show up later in the document. In the housing section, which is, all new and I think really well written so far, it just occurred to me that, we have, since we're talking about the need for housing and where new multifamily housing could be, maybe some sort of high altitude look of, our underutilized office parks on Vic Drive and Subway and Wheeler's Farms Road.
So
Right.
would we have to have a regulation change to allow this in the light?
Oh, yeah.
This is
Yeah.
light industrial, right?
It's design office, it's DO, it's not industrial. But, those zones don't allow housing. So if we have some sort of general something in here, which, I'd have to, work on.
Well, and it could give developers that pay attention, it could give them interest in maybe taking one of these properties that is empty office space.
Right,
And
but
Say, look, their POCD says they
Right.
want to do this, they'll probably allow
Exactly.
a special permit or a zone change.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea. Close,
Okay.
really no impact on traffic. Vic Drive
Right.
is, the size of 4 lanes on each side, just about.
Yep.
So big, and you're right there at the highway, so.
Yep.
I like that idea personally.
So actually, I'm gonna copy.
Speaking of that, we mentioned at one time, I think it's Bridgeport Ave heading into the center of town. On the left by the railroad tracks, a lot of those, I think, abandoned factories. We talked about making them where people can convert those into houses or condos or apartment. Is that something that they could do, or do we need to make a regulation change, or how do we encourage that?
So where's this? Say that again. I was busy.
I think it's Bridgeport Ave, but if you're heading, like, say,
Yeah, it's
from
at the-
Stop and Shop,
Oh,
head
yeah.
towards center of town.
Well, yeah, I mean, this subcommittee early on talked about.
Yeah, I
a
remember
lot-
that.
Yeah, so I mean, that would be a recommendation that we would have to have in here, that the CDD3 should allow for housing, if that,
Yeah, I think that, and again, we should talk about this, but is it just allow housing, or is it to encourage mixed use, which allows housing? Do we want just housing development? Maybe, because right behind it is
JFK, the
yeah,
school.
I mean, there's actually, I'm mixing up my map in my head, but is it the case that it's better urban planning to have it be a mixed use? Or is it just to put up apartments or condos or whatever? I mean, I know that I think that there's some soil issues with that old, where there was an old cleaner or something that's been fenced in, and you see the PVC in the ground, meaning they're doing vapor samples. So there's probably the reason it hasn't been developed into anything is because there's a problem with the dirt.
Right.
Mm.
So keep in mind, you can have pure housing in a mixed use zone, because I mean, if the housing is there, then that supports businesses that aren't necessarily part of that complex, but imagine.
Yeah, but
imagine-
in Milford Center Design District, we have a requirement for commercial on the first floor.
Correct.
And so
I
we
think
could
that
do
area
that.
is perfect.
We
for-
could do
for
that in other places as
Oh,
well.
yeah, you could do anything you want,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. That's what
But
I'm thinking. I'm just curious on an urban planning, is it better planning? I mean, it's a commercial corridor now. Is it a good idea to have it be, residential only as a mixed use and only above commercial space? I don't know. I mean, we
Yeah.
did that down at Walnut Beach. Right on Naugatuck Ave, it was, and then a lot of that's been vacant, but that's
Right.
different than,
Right.
there's restaurants, there's that big old, well, I don't even know what that factory was. The steel company turned into a set design place,
Yeah,
but there's a big,
Right, right.
80,000 square foot former something building
warehouse, yeah.
that I don't know, could be a cool opportunity for development for somebody, but I think the character, it would be great if there's more restaurants down there. We expand the whole vibe of a cool place to go, nightlife, whatever, in
If people live
downtown
there.
Milford, and now this just extends it, gives us another 3/4 of a mile of it.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect spot for mixed use personally. I think,
I mean, if you want to look at extending the MCDD into the CDD3, we can look at the MCDD and go, hey, why not turn the CDD3 into MCDD?
Wow,
hmm,
that's
That's-
kind of the easy button, right? Then you don't have to rewrite the language.
Yeah,
All you have to do is do, interesting.
that
Yeah,
would,
Yeah.
that would, I'd have to, at this hour, I'm trying to remember all the little things we have in MCDD, but I mean, if we're talking about an MCDD kind of thing, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, why don't we change it to the duck?
yeah. No, I
right,
think
right.
I think that's the easy button. It's simpler than rewriting added language to, CDD3.
Yeah, Shelton's done an excellent job taking old abandoned factories and turn them into apartment condos, and I
right.
think they look pretty good, and they're a good use of land, and they bring people in and make housing affordable and use up blighted areas and could turn things around, like you said. I mean, somebody can get creative and put some shops, restaurants, or whatever, along with some condos or something, or apartments.
Yeah.
Right, and we could satisfy some 830G requirements if we have more housing there.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you don't make it 30%, but you make it, 18% or something, so we're at least making headway and make it attractive for developers to be able to come in, because there are some issues there. There's some soil stuff, and there's like that other building. If someone's gonna do that, there'd be a demo project involved, but I mean, it's big enough to,
Well, Jim, I'm thinking of, I think across the street from where you're saying it's fenced in, there's existing buildings there. I don't know if they're become new businesses. They used to be
yeah, I
businesses.
think there was a dry cleaner there that was dumping
Yeah.
his chemicals.
Yeah,
So that's why the soil's bad. And I think there's actually, if you look at whatever the state data, I think there might have been a spill way back, even on the other side of the road. And even under that road, there's some, what they call a plume of some toxins. So it could be a tough place to build, but at one point, maybe there's some state, federal money and you cap it and,
And this is Bic Drive we're talking about?
Well, I'm
now
talking.
we're
Bridgeport
on,
Avenue.
over by Carvel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Bridgeport
okay.
Avenue.
Now, just so, I mean, like, personally, I think that would be something that would be really beneficial to the city. Is that something we try to encourage? And if we want to encourage, is there a way to encourage a developer? Because I don't think it's low hanging fruit for someone to say, yeah, I'm going to convert that into. I don't know what it costs. Like you said, if they have to, deal with contaminated land, unless we know there's funding to help clean it up. Is there a way to
Well,
encourage
there's
it?
one thing that I learned on Saturday, and you know what? That was actually pretty darn good. And I thought I was gonna do a whole lot of work and just pretend I was listening. I was enthralled. I really liked it a lot. And one thing I learned is that, part of what the new state regs are is that it gives us the ability to encourage sustainability, whether it's solar, renewables, or LEED or whatever. So I think that if we're going to change something on like to MCDD, or then maybe we go into MCD and change something that says if in fact you get to a LEED status, or a lead status is where you meet certain through your design, you do really efficient buildings, or you have solar or whatever. So we can then say, if you're willing to do that and make it a net zero building, we'll let you go up to 40 feet instead of 30 feet. So we can we have the ability to put a carrot out there. If you do this, we can give you something that helps make you a more profitable venture. So I really don't think there's a huge problem with going higher in not
Yeah, in certain areas, I don't
70
think
feet,
it is
but-
a problem at all. Yeah.
I think you might have a backlash in the public personally.
Yeah,
Well,
so, I
certain
mean,
areas,
yeah, this
definitely. I mean,
one's pretty innocuous. But I see, you're right. We could think it through a little further, but I mean, if you showed that picture of the old where Tanga is, that would be a nice thing to have 2 stories of apartments over that. It would look beautiful, I think. The picture we just had a few screens back. Something like that, I could see. Yeah, you just passed it. Nope. The photograph. Yeah, right there.
yeah, like where
I
Whole
can
Foods is.
picture that with 2 stories of housing above that, and I would love to see that
Yeah,
on Bridgeport Ave. But anyway,
that
we
could be
are at
affordable housing for
8:13.
sure.
We're an hour and 13 minutes in and an hour schedule, and we didn't capture it all. Do you guys want to give it a few more minutes, or do you got to jump and go do stuff, or what?
I'm okay for a little while longer.
I'm a little while longer too.
Meg? Okay. David,
Yep, I'm fine.
does your dog need to go for a walk?
No, she's calm at the moment. And
Dog docking.
yeah, it's too windy to take her for a walk.
Yeah,
She can run around the yard. She's spending time running around the yard this afternoon. It's like, I don't know how she could stay out there. Well, I guess that's what having a fur coat's all about. So yeah, this particular section is just going through the different kinds of land uses that have been identified on a parcel by parcel basis in these particular corridor zones. So these are edits that I've made because we have things in here that were done. And so they don't have to be in here, so removed because they're done.
Now it's interesting how they did this level of detail. Did they do that in every area of the city or just in Walnut Beach?
Just no, all the corridor districts. So this is corridor
Okay.
3. So yeah, we just talked about the CDD 3. So this gives you an idea of what's the land uses in CDD 3. And this
Yeah,
comes
and so I think the same thing there is, it's hard to see the difference between business and bank and automotive and restaurant. It's all the same color to some people. So
Right.
let's get a little bit more definition, or I mean, they blocked them in, I don't know, something to enhance the contrast,
if we can.
color
Yeah,
selection, or
we might need eyes that can see a bigger range of colors. So these I think come directly out of the assessor's records, because that's I think where they got the land use.
that's his colors or his.
No, the information.
So then I mean, the thing is, the background that's not in the zone could be just white. You could be blocked out, whatever.
So let's actually, I think everything not in the zone is yellow, but that's interesting, but let's, let me see what we can do here. Block out.
So that, I thought that was water company property on the other side of the post road at Lansdale.
It's city, I think it's a city. We call it the reservoir, but I think it's a city owned, because it's not an actual reservoir. But hold on, let me, let's go farther down, because this is CDD 3, so you're thinking farther down near the Hyundai dealer, right?
That's Jonathan Law, that's Kmart.
No, no, not here, not here. Nope, 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 nope. That's in the CDD 2. That's here. Nope, that's the other part of CDD 2. Let's see.
Yeah, that goes up to McDonald's.
Yep,
And
here.
then
This
from
is the,
McDonald's to the fork in the road
Yeah.
is CDD 3, right?
right. So here's Kmart right here. You see this?
Yep.
That's the Kmart site.
No, wait a second.
Yep, right here.
Colored municipal education facilities?
Yeah, that's pretty bad, huh? Unless I got it wrong, but that's,
No, you do have it wrong. That's Jonathan Law.
here's Naugatuck Avenue, right?
Yeah.
Okay, here is Route 1.
Yeah, we haven't seen Lansdale yet. Lansdale is not on the map.
Where Jimmy said before, he was exactly right. That was Lansdale. That's where Jonathan Law is, on Lansdale.
Right.
Okay, hold
Not
on. Tudor, nope, 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 nope.
Previous map, I think.
No, right there.
Lansdale, right
Yeah,
there.
Lansdale, and
Yeah.
then that's the post road. And
Yeah,
on the other side of the post road is blue, but
Yeah.
but that's the lake. That's a reservoir.
yeah,
I
municipal.
think that's water company property, no?
It's municipal. No, we own it. It's municipal. It's us.
Oh,
Great place for community garden.
Yeah, it's all wet.
Lots of water,
Yeah, it's all wet. You have to get Mary Rose to go along with you.
fishing, get you going fishing all of the time.
There's actually, looking here for, so I think is this the Hyundai dealership? I
The
think
tennis
this is-
facility.
And the tennis facility. This is,
ah,
and there's
And that's
parking.
like, there's a little piece of property there with like a guy who has a tile business or a cabinet business.
Yeah,
Right
and then,
across, yeah, right, not there, up, yeah, right there. Guy's got a tile business or a cabinetry business.
yeah, and then over here, there's actually public parking on the tennis facility property to park and then go into this.
Yeah, and I think that's actually the hotel site up on the hill.
Oh. Wow.
Yep, yeah, because there's the entrance to the highway.
Okay.
Anyway. So those, again, the possibility of a link to Google Maps on those and zoomability in general.
I got rid of expect discount since it's not there.
yeah, what's that?
I mean, obviously your comments about colors and things apply to all the maps.
Yeah.
This is done, so we can remove that. Indian River. Downtown.
So we're at page 50
Yeah,
out of 80.
Hmm.
I'm about done.
okay.
Myself, I just I had somebody resign and then was supposed to work till next Friday and got pissed off and left today, and human
So-
resources and all this freaking stress. I'm
So,
tired.
so how about this? If anyone has any bandwidth over the next day or two, if you want to look at this from page 50 to 80, you know, it's 30 pages. You know, if there's any comments you want to forward to me, I'll
And
look.
and save them.
Yeah, save them,
Critical
and
point.
send them to me, and I'll go through these pages tomorrow as well to take another look at these 30 pages, and because I want to get all of this feedback to Adam. We promised him that we would get it to him this week. That way he can take it and along with the other information that he now has and recraft the draft.
Okay.
All right.
Um,
I'll, give it a shot, see what we can do.
Yeah. I mean, if you're able to,
should we try to pick another day and a half hour to do those last 30 pages before we get it to Adam? What do we have? We have,
let me look. Well, he needed a week. He wanted a week, so that's why we set up the schedule. So let me look here. Because our next meeting is on the 28th. We have that scheduled, and then we have our regular board meeting next week on the 21st. The 22nd, I prefer not to meet on the 22nd because it's my birthday, but if we have to, we can meet on the 22nd.
what is that next Wednesday? No, next
That's-
Wednesday would be,
Yeah, that would be Wednesday, the 22nd, but
okay.
he wouldn't have enough time because he wanted a good week to get whatever input we were going to give him.
Okay, I'm good for a little while. I'll stick around.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm gonna have just a second, a break
Yeah.
for a minute. Keep going. Let's just keep
Okay.
going. As long as everybody's into it.
So the rest of this, I don't know that there's anything. I mean, it's all it's all technical stuff that we wouldn't necessarily have. It comes from other sources. Transportation and circulation.
And they're all updated, obviously, so.
Yeah, it's all
That's
factual
important.
updates about our have, the Milford Transit and ridership. The basic classifications of routes, which people need to understand the difference between highways, state routes, and feeder streets.
Right, for a minute here, David, is there any, what's the verbiage on the bus routes, and if any, do we have?
Well, we know what we have Milford Transit District ridership. So we know how many people in town take a bus. We know how many people, once they leave town, use elevated subways and other trains. This is sort of commuter information.
Right.
Rail and bus access. We know that we have 3 different transit districts that serve the town for buses. That hasn't changed.
Well, the reason I mentioned it is I haven't been on a bus in 100 years, but my wife did use the bus system the other day, and it was just her and one other rider.
Yep.
And I don't know,
There you go.
underutilized, and
you go.
especially if it's a diesel powered bus, that's not a good thing.
Well, they're gonna the technology will change, when they have the funding to do it, because it's they're doing it ever so slowly.
Yeah.
But I mean, right here's their ridership. The second COVID hit, boom, and that's the same with a lot of mass transit. They haven't gotten back to their pre-COVID levels yet. They're
Right.
on
And
their
that's
way.
free right now, actually.
I don't know if Milford is or not. Was
It
it
is.
free for her?
It
Oh, that's
is.
great. Yeah, because I know if she then. Do you know? Did she take a Milford Transit bus or did she
Yes.
take a Connecticut? Okay, because I know the Connecticut transit buses are free.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
To that point, how do we encourage more usage of mass transit? Is that something we can encourage? I mean, it seems like we're the perfect city to do transit development. We did that behind George J. Smith. Do we give people any kind of deals on train passing or bus? Well, the buses are free. We should be encouraging this.
Well, the buses aren't free as normally. That's a COVID thing.
Well, they are now, but always though, everybody complains about traffic, in the city. Don't you think maybe we would be a perfect city for mass transit to be used more?
Actually, not really. Because we're very spread out. So it's really good for downtown and the corridors where you have density. But a majority of people live where there is no bus service. And that's the problem with a suburban town. And so on the one hand, you want people to use mass transit, but they need some way to get to the mass transit. And it's not efficient for mass transit to go winding down, neighborhood streets off of the main routes. So yeah, and that's where you get into, the efficiencies of smaller lot zoning and more density. And that's what you want. I mean, that's the whole thing with a TOD. So if you look at our TOD stuff, which is probably in here. Yeah, here are
what's that stand for? What's TOD?
Transit oriented development.
Okay.
So here's our public transit routes.
Mhm.
They're going down state roads to basically where there's density.
Yeah.
And the shoreline where there's density, but forget up here. I mean, there's
Right. Well, to my mind, it's really important. This type of transportation is important to
totally.
workers, low income workers. Unfortunately, they need
Yep.
a cheap way to get around. And if we could offer free or almost free bus passes to bring them to Milford Center, to the mall. I know they come right down East Broadway.
Yep.
I don't know how useful that is, but
Well, so this is orange, so that's Milford Transit. So the orange is Milford Transit. So Milford Transit is doing this, and if they're doing this, it's for a reason.
yeah.
And
Well, like I said, she did the whole route, and it was just her and one other person. It seems wasteful.
Yeah.
It's good to have access. It's also good to have right-sized buses. I mean, if you have a bus for 80 people and there's 2 people on it,
Right.
it's insane. And I think that, we've talked about it before, and again, it's probably not going to get it done here, but
No.
there was trolleys back in the day. I actually met someone at a trade show last week, and they do buses for school systems, and they have buses that look like trolleys, and they can have them electric too.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so, and there's also route optimization software where you can get on your smartphone and ask for a ride. Maybe you plan an hour in advance. And so now this set of routes could change daily, and people would use it to get to the train station. Every day, 6 o'clock, I go to the train.
Yeah.
Except for this. And so you just sign up on your smartphone, and this is one of the things that hopefully in the future we can do. Probably can't do much of it on this document, but
Probably not. But if we could just point to we need to improve in this area.
Yeah.
To help our workers out, people who are manning, the office depots and whatnot.
Yep. And actually, I sit on the Community Development Block Grant board, and we had our public hearing last week, and Henry Jadish from Milford Transit, he's the head of Milford Transit, testified because he's looking for money for another driver. And, he talked about that issue. He said the thing that's very interesting is, a majority of the people who use the bus to get to work in Milford don't live in Milford. They live elsewhere to come to Milford because that's where the jobs are for them, because they're basically service jobs of one kind or another.
They can't afford to live here.
Right. And at one point, it was over 50% of the people who worked at the mall took a bus. That's why all 3 bus services, they all meet, at the up here. They all meet at at the mall.
The mall,
the bus station there, because that's where all the connections are and everything.
I think the shoplifters take the bus too.
That's too bad, because that's not a very good getaway plan, is it?
It's free.
Yeah, that's true. So we talked about
They get picked up by the police to go home.
Yeah. Yeah, the new section in here, I mean, you touched on safety before downtown, you're concerned. We have a whole new section in here on safety, and Milford Center is identified as a problem, that have They even talk about the crashes, and they always have minor injuries for the most part downtown. But, they've included in here, this incident map,
Right.
and which shows where all the problems are, and, oh, gee whiz, downtown.
No surprises there.
Yep, so, the plan is recognizing that, we have areas, that, serious crashes, fatalities, and, at the last meeting, he went through this.
Yeah.
And he discussed, sort of how the data was being, shown here. And I think we gave him some, feedback then, which he was gonna, refine. Yep, this is all great data that we, previously, didn't have. Yeah, so here, city should conduct an audit of its zoning subdivision regulations to identify areas where complete streets and add, we add, they're asked. He's saying we should have car chargers, and hey, we did add that to our zoning regulations per statute. We've seen that, be rather effective with, developments that have already come in.
Yeah, recently that's,
Yep.
and it's a lot, when I first saw the regulation, it didn't really seem to me like it was huge to make a big impact, but then when you see what happens on an actual development, it's a pretty lot of car chargers,
Yep. Yep.
Yes, and there's federal money available too. I'm sure we have people working on that, correct?
I don't, what. That,
As far as getting grants, because it was in the news today that, federal money has been.
Yeah, there's a lot of money that's just about ready to be earmarked, so there'll be a lot of
Yes.
people looking.
Yeah, so we need somebody on that for sure.
Yep.
Do we have a grants person?
The city, we sometimes do, sometimes we don't. I think the mayor's office right now does have a grants person. They were limited, they were being funded by.
A grant.
Yeah, by a grant actually from, related to COVID. It was that extra money that the feds gave and then gave to the state, and then we were trying to, each town had to figure out how they wanted to spend it. And, some towns gave it to first responders, and, Milford, I think, used it to get a grants coordinator. So.
Good move.
Yeah, so it's someone doing that. Here are edits to remove things that aren't germane anymore. We don't have,
Back on Siemens Lane there, yep.
we own it. This has happened. It's the Woodmont has their new borough that's done. And then this is a map of schools. Schools haven't changed.
Yeah, that can probably be somewhat enhanced with some colors, maybe, you go to grammar schools, high schools, middle schools, something to make the map a little more interesting. It's just stark white and black.
Okay, let me. Nothing here that, sort of jumped out as being needing any sort of tweaks. I mean, they are what they are. I mean, I looked at the, do we continue to mention the Walnut Beach Association with their arts district, because they were developing it, and it's kind of developed, and it's sort of what it is. I don't know if it's worth continuing to point out.
Yeah, you know what, I see what you're saying. I mean, we did do something with the Stowe Farm, and there's the nice work on the firehouse gallery, and there is, though, if you go up along the Naugatuck Avenue, that next quarter mile is really, and I think you and I have discussed it, that I think we gave a guy permission for a used car lot, and with a certain amount of cars, and he's got like 5 times as many cars on it. And so it wouldn't be bad. I don't know if there's really, limits to the size of what they're talking about. If it just went up to where the firehouse gallery is, but that would be great if that next quarter mile could see some redevelopment too. I don't know if this helps it or hurts it, but
Yeah, I don't know if this helps or hurts it, because it comes down to the basic zoning, the CDD2 zone. So, you can do whatever you want in the CDD2 zone. And, the problem, that guy is, there's such a long history of enforcement issues with him, because, we keep enforcing it, he keeps cleaning it up, and then the second everything dies down, he does what he does.
yeah, we gotta start imposing some penalties.
Yeah, this is all infrastructure stuff. There's nothing super glamorous here. Oh, you don't like this kind of stuff, Jim, so we'll just sort of go through
Yeah,
it.
we'll pass this over. We don't need it. I think we cut the whole thing out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously, we talk about some sustainability, smart growth, this clean energy, smart growth policies. So we could,
Yeah, I didn't get this far today.
yeah.
Well, let me ask you a question. So here's my point about the teeth. We put that in there about clean energy. My feeling is Milford's in a unique situation right now. We have people wanting to move here, developers wanting to move here. And it almost seems like we could kind of dictate a little bit more, like with charging stations.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be here so bad that they're agreeing to it. We should try to get these into law. I'd even brought up before about having project review boards. Is that something we want to look at? I know it's crazy, but maybe in just historic areas.
So Jim, everything we do is dictated by state statute.
Okay.
So, for instance, all of these chargers that we're doing now, they're doing it because it's the state law. So we adopted the state law and put it in our regulations. That's why we've got all the chargers that we're getting now out of everybody. It's just the law of the land.
But we can't change a regulation to say you have to have a certain percentage of affordable housing, or we can't have our own regulation.
You can do a carrot and a stick. You can absolutely create a regulation or a floating zone that goes over a particular area that would have to be, sort of designated where the floating zones would be, that would incentivize a developer if that's what you want. But, you have to think about what the incentives are. What are you going to give them for them to do whatever it is that you want to see?
Yeah, it's either higher it's higher density.
Right.
And higher density means more on one floor, more on two, or you let them go up higher.
Right.
Somehow you give them a carrot. You say, all right, you can monetize this project at X. We'll let you monetize it at X plus Y. But for that extra Y, you have to give us more charging stations. You have to give us solar.
Right.
You have to give us,
Right.
spray, the super duper efficient HVAC or whatever.
Right. But there's no going outside for a regular planning and zoning board to say, oh, we're going to create a review board just to look at your projects that are separate from planning and zoning. Statutes don't allow it. Historic districts, if you are a historic district, you have, a actual historic district has the buy-in, because you have to have the buy-in of all the property owners in it to create the district. They create their own rules that have those sort of historic reviews to look at things.
One thing was interesting that I learned on Saturday was a little bit about potential overlay districts.
Yeah.
And how they can, that cities will take an area and they can do an overlay. So even if it's more than one zone as it is, you can do an overlay on a number of different, combine something into an overlay. And I was thinking about that in terms of our problem with the language of merger. Maybe we take areas that we feel are most affected by merger and create an overlay with specific regulations. I'm sorry to jump up away from this, but so there is a way to possibly do an overlay in commercial areas where you could now, put in some carrots and some sticks with with regard to sustainability. I don't know if it works, just an idea.
Mhm.
I haven't gotten this far yet.
Definitely need to look at it for sure.
Land use zoning introduction,
Hmm.
current land uses across the city. So this is just a breakdown of our general zoning, and again, let by sort of land use type. So this basically took all of those other maps that were broken down into the corridor districts, and now it's just showing you the whole city.
Mhm.
Commercial, maintain limited number of commercial areas. I threw this in here just for a discussion point, whether or not, people, with everything that everyone's talking about, creating more housing and creating mixed use, whether or not, gee, why don't we
Yeah,
do something?
and it was really, I think the owner pissed Ben off. And that's why Ben mustered up some political energy to squash that. But I do think, I think that would actually be good to have for the mall to get the owner to hire a consultant to come up with some highest and best uses of mall reimagined throughout the country, and see what we can do with that. It's a great opportunity, not just to bail the guy out, but because it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, yes, it
It's a
is.
great property. It could be anything we want it to be. If we give him a way to monetize it, he'll love it. He'll jump at a chance.
And
I think a Ferris wheel is in there.
I think it needs to be. Yes.
Well, you can do that too.
Okay, the Santa Monica Piers has gets a couple million people that ride that Ferris wheel a year.
Right. And so things like that, but I think you saw from them what typically is happening at malls around the country, and
Yeah.
he had some very good planners who were on that team.
Mhm.
That I know, like Don Poland, and so it's basically what would you like to see there? It's going to be the highest and best use are the things that they were promoting, which is basically a live, work, and shop all in the same sort of spot kind of place.
Yes.
Gonna be
Yeah, I
mixed
mean, I
use.
think conceptually, I think they have it. Did they present a design which was really, quite a little bit less than the master plan I hope for? Did they really utilize the whole site? Did they, could they? Yeah. Anyway,
Well, yeah. So you could whatever it is you sort of, if you want to give this some thought, think you'd like to see in that zone. Forget the site. The site is basically a majority of a particular zone. Then you write zone regulations. Then they, as a property owner, can go, oh, how can we utilize these regulations? And the key is to come up with regulations, obviously, that can be utilized versus.
I thought if we had a proper charrette and invited a lot of people into it, and came up with something that would make it work and make it even better than what they imagined. It's obviously going to have a residential component, but anyway, it would be fun to do that. I would love to see that happen.
Okay. Well, we should why don't we create I'll work on a paragraph or something we can put in here that says something to that effect.
Yeah.
The zone that's in, whose name escapes me at the moment, should be re-examined to allow for the highest and best uses of a mixed use and residential commercial development, with a following sort of features and whatever it is we end up deciding.
I think that's a great idea. I think if the developer sees that, gives them some ideas, they'll come back.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's an indication that, hey, you guys are going to be you're willing to look at doing something, and depending on how specific you want to get in this document, that could be the guidance.
Right.
What else?
I think that merits a meeting all on its own.
Yeah, and then I think that at one point, we should encourage the use of consultancy. Like if we think, and I do think that there's a lot of good thought behind doing a professional revamp of the zoning regulations, where we could clean up a lot of, again, density in the language and correct stuff, get rid of redundancy, make sure we're compliant with state regulations. And then in a revamp, we can maybe put a dozen of the ideas that we're trying to underpin in this document into a sort of a global relook at our zoning regulations.
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, I'd like to see a consultant hold a charrette for the mall property or for that zone for the, and consider a relook at our zoning regulations on sort of a more global scale, to clean up the rough edges, as well as,
Yeah, you want updated modern regulations. And
21st century would be nice.
yeah, and you know, the last time we did something like that, this is what we got. Well, from 2004. I'm not saying that I totally support everything you just said, Jim. We have to get the money. So that's a political issue.
Well,
that,
yeah, you just gotta,
yeah,
we got a new mayor coming in a little while, and then we have another new mayor coming in November. So, you know, make that, you know, it's obviously of the political animals. It's our responsibility to try to get the candidates and the potential winners to move forward. You know, and it's fine. We've done fine so far. No problem. No harm, no foul. But let's move forward.
Yep, because that would be great. I mean, you know, in the world of zoning regulations, ours are not horrible. They're not the best, and they're not the worst. But it would be great to have them better than they are.
That's
Yeah,
right.
we are positioned to become, you know, a world famous destination spot.
If we do this plan right and do those regulations right, you bet.
Yeah.
Watch out, East Hampton. Here comes Milford.
That's right.
Yeah, and I
There
mean,
goes Milford.
and you know, one of the recommendations that our consultant put in here are to redo the zoning regulations. I mean, they're in here.
Yeah, I think we put that in there.
So there you go.
To be open to consultancy in general, to do stuff like revamp our regulations and to be able to drill out, you know, and it could be that we, you know, for relatively short money, we could probably have a charrette on CDD3, for example. You know, give a guy $5,000 and have him run a couple public hearings, and it's not the whole thing, you know, to pick and choose little things and get some expertise. I mean,
You get some developers excited, we could get some good things happening here. So
I agree.
And you can, and again, I think you could get something really jump started if we actually look at just expanding the MCDD. I think that would excite a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, why not go the other way too, down New Haven Ave?
why not?
Yeah, you could. The only difference I would say there is, and we have to think about how far down New Haven Ave with you know, budding properties, because when you think about the CDD3, there's not an awful lot of I'll call them single family abutters.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
But if you go down New Haven Ave, I think you can go all the way to Pond Point Avenue, just to where the bridge is.
Yeah.
And you have commercial there now, so it's just
and stuff that is old and tired.
Yep.
And, you know, crappy little office buildings. You put some mixed use and more restaurants.
That's it. Yeah.
Yep. And you're going to get that when you get the housing, because that's, you need that synergy.
And then, you know, there's that, if you're heading towards New Haven on the left there's a lot of, you know, it was little, you know, 1,500 square foot offices and stuff like that. You knock that down and do a mixed use with two levels of housing above it.
Yep.
That's a gold mine.
That's it. That's where you can do it.
Yep. Well,
That's
I think you guys basically, you know, made it through. It's
all right. Nice.
yeah, here you go. Maintain a clear and easy use system for regulation. Yep. I mean, Yeah, everything we just talked about is here. So, and this is consistency with the state plan. This is
Mhm.
the boilerplate that you know we have to have.
I
to
mean,
show.
I think we want to throw in a paragraph that encourages spending a little bit of we spend an awful lot of money on on extra hoses for a $1.3 million fire truck that hasn't put out a fire yet. You know, can we spend 10, 15 grand here and there to improve the lives of everybody? I think it's money well spent.
Yeah.
Does everybody have their NCAA pool picked and ready to go?
I don't do that stuff.
Yeah, not into the basketball.
No?
I'm waiting for baseball.
Meg, you a college hoop fan? Do you like March Madness? No? How about you, David?
You know, I keep an eye on what UConn's doing. So that's you know, that's as far as I can go. You know.
You know, some people are going to pick UConn to go all the way.
Hey, there were years where you know they didn't seem like they were doing well, and they did. So
They're big and strong. That's what I found out.
yeah.
Mm.
So I never know. You know, in these brackets and things, you know, I'm never familiar with a lot of these other schools that they're going to be up against. Then so it's like, well, I'm going to root for UConn no matter what. And
Yeah. I kind of follow it. I like college basketball. That's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, it's definitely better game than pro basketball.
Yeah, it's like they should really make the hoop 13 feet and make the ball 60% bigger so they can't palm it.
yeah,
Yeah.
Then it would be like me playing.
Yeah. Maybe enforced
Not quite
traveling
as
rule.
athletic, but at least proportionally sized.
okay.
Yeah.
Well,
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I appreciate it, Meg, taking your time, and David too. John, thank you. Jimmy, thank you.
Well,
And
I think this was really productive, and I can't wait to get it to Adam so we can make the changes.
yeah,
This was a good one.
there's a good chance I will not be at Tuesday's meeting.
Okay.
My grandson Liam was scheduled to be born today. I don't know. He may come out on Friday on St. Patty's Day, which would be nice.
How about that?
Have a Liam Quish on St. Patty's Day.
Uh-huh.
He'll like that as a celebration, but so I may be heading up north at the drop of a hat to go to Trumansburg to see new addition to the family.
Okay. Well,
Good reason.
congratulations.
All right.
If I'm in town, I'll be there.
Okay. And do you want to approve the minutes?
I move to approve.
Without objection.
Okay.
Approved.
Super.
Thank you. We're adjourned.
Have a good night, everyone.
All right, everybody,
Good
take
night.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.